Live from America's heartland, this is the Daily Truth Report with your host, Noah Christopher.
Welcome back to the Daily Truth Report. I'm your host, Noah, and we've got a returning guest, a favorite. Bo Polney is back on the show. Bo, welcome back on.
Noah, thank you. Going to be a fun talk. Thank you for having me. Exciting 2023. We are here. Lots to talk about.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. We just, it's always fun doing the show before the show where I get a little sneak peek of what you want to talk about. And you've got some great stuff in here. I'm going to try and talk a little bit in code so we can maybe stay up on YouTube, but we're going to talk about a second term for 45, maybe a third term coming soon. And we're going to talk about the Brunson case. We're going to, and let me just say this before we get going. I always like to set the stage a little bit. We are recording this on January 3rd of 2023. Always fun to go back and look at these. And we've had some big historical ones with Bo where you go back and look and you can't believe it. So I always like to say the date in here. So in case people take this and re-upload it somewhere, you know that this is January 3rd, 2023. And I'll also just do a little recap of, I think we'll talk some crypto at the end. So I'll just say that looking at the charts right now, Bitcoin is at 16,600. XRP is at 34 cents. And Ethereum is at 1,200. So there's a few roadmaps for you. And we can look back on those. And those numbers may seem very different soon. We'll talk about that at the end. But Bo, let me go ahead and get your slides pulled up because you've got some awesome new stuff in here that I want to show everybody. And before we get into your slides here, I want to take everyone to this one like we always like to do. I'm going to put the link to these slides right down below the video, wherever you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble. We might also get it up on Twitter. They're allowing long form video now, so we might get this up on Twitter and go follow us over there too. I'll put a link down below this video, but grab these slides. These are always incredible slides. Bo's got 40 slides in here today, a lot of new stuff that you haven't seen before. And he always puts them together and gives them out for free. So that's why we love having him on. Go ahead and just take your camera app on your phone out, point it right at this QR code right here, and that's going to take you right to a download link, or you can just use the link below this video so you can follow along. I know a lot of people get these and they save them in a folder and sometimes go back and look at them, and there's a lot of good stuff in here. So Bo, I think that's it for my summary, and now people want to hear from you. So why don't you take it away and take us through some of the new stuff you've been seeing. We're going to talk about the 24s, September 24, October 24, November, December, maybe January. We're going to talk about January 6th. We're going to talk about 45 and what could immediately bring him back into office and a whole lot more. So tell me where you want to start.
Well, probably the best thing that we can really start at and talk about is page 3, because that's the essence of everything that we are waiting for. 23 discusses, very simple. It's a verse in the Bible. It's Leviticus 25, verse 10. It says, "And you shall consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all of its inhabitants." See, this is the essence of liberty throughout the land. It's God's liberty. And so what we have to understand is nothing, all this talk about, the white hats and other movement with a circle and a line through it, all these movements have amounted to nothing. And the reason is because Satan's got dominion of this earth. Okay. So without a year of the Lord's favor, it's called a Jubilee. Without a Jubilee, nothing will change, people. Nothing will change. And so we're waiting for that moment in time when God intervenes and everything that we know to be true. And I mean everything, all these things that evil and this, remember, we battle not against flesh and blood, but principalities of darkness. A principality are governments, okay? So we battle not against flesh and blood, but principalities, governments in dark places. And that's what's happening right now. I think it's extremely obvious what's happened in the past 2 years. We are battling not against people. This is a system that goes across the world. And thus we've seen all these things manifest for the past 2 years. Where? Across the world. We need a moment in time where God intervenes and everything stops. And how many times have I been on your show, Noah, and I've read to you Isaiah 61. And then lo and behold, this weekend, I'm watching The Chosen, and guess what scripture they read? Isaiah 61. If you can play the clip on this, it's really incredible because you got to pick up the details. We'll cover the details, but listen closely. And I edit it to make it shorter, but listen closely to this video and the words that are used and how it plays out. And then we'll talk about it.
Yeah, you bet. Here we go.
A reading from the scroll of the prophet Isaiah. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and recovery of sight to the blind, to the opening of the prison for those who are bound, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. The fulfillment of this scripture, as you have heard it, is today. This is the year of the Lord's favor. This is a year of Jubilee, a year the poor, the brokenhearted, the captive, and the blind are offered redemption. Here, now.
Jesus, please explain why you stopped the reading before Isaiah spoke of the day of vengeance of our God.
The day of vengeance is in the future. If you do not realize that you need a year of the Lord's favor, then I cannot save you.
Ooh, that was so good.
So there you go. So if you do not realize that you need a day of the Lord's favor, a year of the Lord's favor, I cannot save you.
Ooh.
So that is the essence of our issue right now. Our whole world is tied up in this Babylonian money system. In Babylon controls its complete human control all around the globe. And so we are waiting for this moment in time where the glory manifests. And how amazing was that just to watch it happen? And what also, it was stated in there, why didn't you read the last line?
Mm-hmm.
Day of the Lord's vengeance, right? And think about this, right? Jesus read that just as he started his ministry. And then he had 3.5 years forward. So Jesus was the Jubilee. And the whole time he was on this earth. So the point is, we're about to see historic changes occur the moment the glory manifests. It's the same time windows that are playing out right now. We're watching, and the moment the glory manifests on earth, God the loving God is also going to judge. And it's incredible. But, we've been talking about which seal is about to open, right? So the first, second are open, but the third seal is about to open. And if you can go to screen 12.
I should say really quick, we always get new people every time we do an interview with Bo. And if you're new here and you're wondering, who is this guy and why are we talking to this guy? And what does he know? Well, Bo is an analyst of time. Bo has spent his whole career studying the cycles of our world, the cycles out of the Bible, and overlaying these patterns because they play out over and over again. So when you hear him talk about time and these cycles and years and everything, that's why he's talking about that. And doing that, he has been so accurate over the years, and we've had him on probably for 2 or 3 years now, and had some amazing stuff that his cycles have pointed out. So if you were wondering, if you're new, welcome to meet Bo, and you're going to enjoy this. So, all right, Bo, slide 12.
Right. So, not only do I take scriptures, but I listen to several prophets, and I've interlaced the prophetic word with scripture. And that's how you know if a prophecy is to be fulfilled or true, then there's got to be scriptural backing to it. It's incredibly important because basically you always have to refer back to the Bible to make sure that you have scriptural reference to what you're actually even talking about. And so the third seal in Revelation is a black horse. You can see a picture of that on the next page. The next page basically shows a black horse and his riders. The rider has scales in his hand. The black horse represents the angel of death. Well, it's not death God's not going to go destroy his bride, his church, right? It's the people that were against his bride. And so the black horse represents the angel of death. Well, Kent Christmas on the prior page here talked about the angel before the year comes to an end. And this was stated in June of 2022. Before the year comes to an end, the angel of death will be loosed upon the earth. And then another prophetic word that was stated just 2 days ago, I believe, by Kent Christmas, I was watching this morning. The prophetic word was the angel of death was released upon the earth as the year ended and the new year began. And guess who died on December 31st? The Pope.
The Pope, yes. The prior Pope.
The prior Pope, yes. So the prior Pope passed away. So the angel of death, I believe that is directly related to the angel of death. So now the angel of death is loosed upon the earth. This is the angel of death that destroyed all the firstborn of Egypt, including Pharaoh's son. So the angel of death is now on the earth, directly related to the evil ones. And so that's the prophecy of the mortuaries are just going to be packed. Not with the bride. So when Jesus flipped the tables, in a single moment in time, everything flips. And so we're at this moment in time, Noah. You just watched the video. Jesus just read Isaiah 61, right? So we're just waiting for the year of the Lord's favor. And that's the Jubilee. And we're so close to this event going down. And you'll see why in the later presentation when we talk about the cycle of the presidents, which, I just put together over the past week. And you'll see why we're so incredibly close to this all going down.
Well, and you talk about a moment. You've been talking about that on this show for a long time, that it'll be a moment. It'll be a 24-hour period. It will be instantaneous. They won't see it coming. And that sounds a lot, we don't know for sure, but it sounds a lot like the Brunson case to me, where you could have a ruling come down like that, and all of a sudden, all of the credentials of these members of Congress are stripped, and they're gone because they violated their oaths. We've never seen a case anything like this.
Right.
I told you this before the interview. No one was talking about this case before you sent me an email about it. And you sent it to me, and I started looking at it. I would have probably deleted it if it wasn't from you. And I thought, well, Bo knows what he's talking about. And I started looking at the links, and then I went to the Supreme Court website, and I found it was on their website. You were ahead of everybody. So after I did my research, I published an article about it, and I told everybody about this case. I think we were one of the first, if not the first news outlet to run with that. And so much so that I got people emailing me and commenting and saying, this has to be fake because Epoch Times hasn't covered it. Gateway Pundit hasn't covered it. Breitbart hasn't covered it. And now, of course, they all have. Mike Huckabee has covered it now. And it's getting really big. And we're so excited about that. Do you have any additional thoughts on that? Any revelation? I know January 6th is the big day. It's been docketed for that day. Anything on your end that you're seeing there?
Well, the reason I made a big deal about this, because our last 2 interviews we've done, right, or the past, actually since summertime, I was saying, the next September 24th was a big date. Yes. And then October 24th, which will be 10/24, or if you drop the 0, it's 1/24. 10/24 was supposed to be a date that something was supposed to be obvious in the natural, like in our world, that changes everything. That was like a critical date. And so the day went by, and it's like, things happened, but there wasn't any wow moment in time, right?
That's
Until November, hindsight's 2020. And what happened in early November, I emailed you saying, and then text you going, Noah, check this out. This is crazy. Because what freaked me out and what brought this whole thing to my attention was 2 things. Number one is it was docketed on 10/24. Okay. So that was like a wow moment in time. And then you do more research on it. It was received on Rosh Hashanah, September 24th. Okay. You can't make this up, but it's exactly what happened. So it was received on Rosh Hashanah. They docketed on October 24th, which was mind-blowing, only to find out these four brothers play the trumpet, okay? And the case is Brunson versus, remove the S, it's Adam. The name play on this is incredible, right? And then beyond all that, it ties in with the presidencies because Biden took office in January 6th of 2021. Only 2 precise years later is this Friday, January 6, 2023. Now, I don't know if anything happens this Friday, January 6th. Who knows, right? We don't know. All I'm saying is that it's incredible that the timing of these things is beyond measure. And then flat out, I forever have known that the only one way that we're going to see 45 literally walk back into office, he will literally walk back into office. And there's only one way it can happen. And it's through these 3 words: fraud vitiates everything. And so I've used those words on your show, on Greg Hunter's show, but basically those words go back all the way to June of 2021. That's when I first went on Greg Hunter's show on USA Watchdog, and I said, listen, I'm telling you, this is how it's going to go down. And if you can play the video, it's on page 17, but if you can play this video, it's truly incredible because these were the words spoken 18 months ago, before there even ever was a Brunson case. So let's play that video right now.
Some people are saying that, the only way to get rid of Biden is to impeach him and impeach Kamala, and then Nancy Pelosi will end up being in the White House. She participated in the fraud. And your answer to me, I said this was not only just a simple fraud, it was a huge fraud, and it involved the foreign powers attacking us. And your quote on the fraud was really simple. And that is?
Fraud vitiates everything. Google those words. Fraud vitiates everything.
Spell vitiates.
That is critical to understand. I've learned those words about 10 years ago. It's incredibly powerful when you understand what those simple words mean. Fraud vitiates everything. Guess what happens, Greg? Boom.
Bo, I remember watching that live when you were on Greg Hunter's show, and that's a great clip that you went back and found. You've been saying that for a long time.
We are living in biblical times. Expect biblical things to go down. So no one knows exactly how this is going to play out. Is it this Brunson case that's going to play out? God knows, not me. I'm telling you that the timing of this is incredible. The fact that all this is playing out and this is truly incredible, how we're watching this all unfold, and the timeline is just wow, beyond wow, beyond wow. Just like the perfect example, right? December 24th go by, right? We're like, oh, okay, well, look at the slide, right?
Blizzard of the century.
Yeah, the blizzard of the century. Okay,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Blizzard of the century.
When I first saw that story and it was developing and we covered it, but it's like, okay, it's a big snowstorm. But then you start reading more. 38 people died because they couldn't get out of the storm or out of their cars or into their houses or died in their houses. I've never heard of that before in our lifetime. People die with all of our modern technology and conveniences and everything else, to have people die in a snowstorm, and it was 38 of them. Crazy. Now, I also say this, that is big. I also wonder about, just like September and October and November, I wonder if something else big happened on 12/24 that we don't know yet. And I wonder if the same thing will happen on January 6th, because when you were on our show and you kept saying, watch September 24th, and then you said, watch October 24th. And I got emails from people saying nothing happened. Bo missed it. He was wrong. Bo, and then you missed it again in October. They said, Bo, nothing big happened. Don't try and say something big happened. And then we get this Brunson case, and it was perfectly on those days. And I even said it back then. I said, hey, there might be something happening here that you don't know about. And people said, oh, that's just a cop-out. Well, sure enough, the biggest case that's ever hit the Supreme Court was docketed. And I just wonder what else is coming on December 24th, January 6th.
January 6th was important. And then basically the next one would be the end of January. Something big is expected to go down here. So the crypto cycle used to predict the crash, and we ended up finding that was, FTX issue. That cycle is foretelling a huge move coming in the end of January. So What's going to happen? I don't know. All I'm telling you is something big is slated to occur really, really soon here. This Brunson case is somehow going to directly play into all of this. And we just don't know all the pieces because God, this last piece here is a secret. We've said this how many times on your show? The last piece of the puzzle, it's the first domino. This is the first domino. When this domino goes down, imagine a room full of hundreds of thousands of dominoes, right? Every domino stands. There's been no white hat movement, no letter, with a circle and a line through it that's been able to take down that first domino.
That's right.
Why? Because all of it is to whatever degree make believe. But the point is, until we get to witness, we experience the glory, the same glory that raised Lazarus from the dead. That glory, the same glory that parted the Red Sea and then closed it on Pharaoh and his army. Okay. When that glory we get to witness, we get to watch it manifest on this earth, that's the moment in time. That's the Jubilee. That's the birth of the new era. That's what we've all been waiting for, but we've been deceived to hope for, there's some magic out there. There's some magic or secret organization out there with white hats that are going to, change the world and how we perceive it. All of this is based on one incredible event, and it's called his glory.
I love that. That's great.
Period. Nothing can stop what these people are doing. Nothing except the manifestation of his glory to literally put an absolute brakes on all of this that's going down. When the Red Sea parted, the earth shook. When Jesus Christ died on the cross, the earth shook. Expect earth-shaking events, literally earth-shaking. Expect earthquakes, volcanoes, because God's involved in this equation and God's going to get all the glory. No man will ever get the glory. Why? Because the events that are about to happen are going to be so incredible that the news stations will be forced to report that there is a God, because events like this never, ever happen.
Yeah, that is so perfect. And I can tell you how excited I was just when I saw the Brunson case getting docketed, and when I looked back and I saw what it's about, and I saw some interviews with the Brunsons explaining it, and we haven't even had a ruling yet, and I've been incredibly excited. I can only imagine when you see this first domino actually fall, and we see maybe a few other pieces of the puzzle that are hidden right now that are going to come together, because it's not a real good plan if you tell everybody ahead of time. But I can only imagine how amazing that's going to be when we start to see this happen, and it sure feels like we're close. We don't know exactly when, but everything feels like we're teetering on the edge, at least to me.
Well, and you can't tell me that everybody knows, or, people can assume what the Supreme Court's going to do. Okay. Don't tell me, all these educated people out there, these attorneys and these people that know, that are all in the system, in the know, and know how the Supreme Court's going to rule. Because if you'd known, then you would have known that Roe v. Wade would have been overturned.
Exactly right.
Everybody knew Roe v. Wade was never going to get overturned, only to watch it get overturned and fulfill prophecy. Because I said 2 years ago, and I don't want credit for this, I'm just pointing this, Ruth Bader Ginsburg died on Rosh Hashanah, and I said within 2 years, Roe v. Wade will be overturned, because that foreshadowed the destruction of the killing of God's creation, abortion, period. And look what happened. You don't know. And, does it have to go down on the 6th of January? Absolutely not. It can happen at any time because God's involved in this equation. So we just have to be patient and watch. All I'm saying is we are so close.
You're exactly right. People don't know what the Supreme Court's going to do. But did they really forget in just 5-6 months ago that the overturning of Roe v. Wade? 50 years, yep. and no one expected it to happen, and then it did. How can you say that this same court is corrupt and never going to make a good decision? They just overturned the biggest case out there for 50 years. I just don't get it. I don't understand how people can say that they're never going to do anything when they just did that 6 months ago.
No one knows how this is going to play out. All we can do is wait and watch, and in my case, calculate and be very, cautious and careful on things that, that we're putting together. But all I know is the pieces I put together keep pointing to the same thing. God's not going to forsake his bride. God's not going to let evil come in early. I'm going to repeat, God's not letting evil come in early and do these horrible things and basically change God's plan. God wrote the end from the beginning. If you read the Daniel 2 prophecy, every part of this is a 2,500 year prophecy that stands to date. So don't tell me there is no psychic out there that has some 2,500 year prophecy that stands to date. Okay. There's only one God, period. Okay. And he writes the end from the beginning. The point of the Daniel 2 prophecy was to prove that simple fact. No man can write a 2,500 year prophecy, but God did. And the point being is every part of the prophecy stands except for the fall of Babylon. Babylon the Great has fallen. And so we're waiting for that moment in time. They have an allotted time. They came in early here.
Now, this is going to sound strange, but he said the Democratic Party will go underground. And I don't think that, I don't know exactly what that means, but he said they would go underground like the throne of Pergamon, the throne of Satan that disappeared and showed back up in Berlin. And he said they'll go underground and then reemerge at a later time. The Lord said they would rise again and come to power under the Antichrist.
They came early and they're trying to mess up God's plan. If they came in right now and early and they had ability to continue, within 4 years of Hitler come taking power, the concentration camps were up and running, okay? So don't tell me we have 4 more years. It's not a possibility. God, because he loves his creation, is about to intervene, and we are about to see the glory manifest on this earth. Historic things go down, and these people go down, and they go, most will experience what we talked about earlier, the angel of death, and that's a Ken Christmas prophecy, but that directly correlates with the third seal, the black horse. And then also coupled with that is the financial scales rebalancing. So that would be the greatest financial event in human history is about to manifest. And we are going to witness it in our lifetime. Like, how blessed are we to be on this earth? You know, imagine being here when Christ was on the earth, right? Imagine being here during the Red Sea when it parted. We get to be here for great events. The event, the Red Sea parting is going to be nothing compared to what's about to happen in this cycle of time when glory manifests and literally stops evil on the earth, not in Israel, on the earth. This is going to be a worldwide phenomenon, a worldwide financial collapse. A worldwide financial collapse. Well, why would God want to collapse the worldwide financial system? Because it's fake. It's based on smoke and mirrors. They press a button and money's created. This is not a monetary system. It's a fraud. And the world is chasing a fraud. Get it? You can't serve 2 masters. The world is chasing fake money. God has to destroy the financial system for one simple reason, because he loves his creation. He's going to do it because he loves you. So the billionaires, the millionaires, the people that have immense amounts of money who refuse to wake up and they worship money are going to lose it all. You know, the worldwide financial system probably will take don't be surprised if real estate takes a 50% haircut this year. Okay, historic things are about to go down. There's prophets that have stated, that we go back to the gold standard. Well, that makes complete sense, because in a godly system, it's an honest ledger. What do you think Bitcoin is? It's an honest ledger. Bitcoin's an honest ledger because every single computer in the world sees every single transaction.
It's open. Open, and you can see it. Yes. Yeah.
Open meaning honest, means deals done not in the dark, but in the open. Okay. And so that's why the current Babylonian money system hates crypto. Not that I think crypto is the best thing in the world. Reason being is because we're heading into the mark of the beast in the future. Okay. Everything gets put on hold, but when the mark of the beast comes out, you're going to need the chip to log into the internet to go see your cryptos. Okay. So anybody who's, putting all eggs in one basket, only the cryptocurrencies and nothing in precious metals, are making a huge mistake, in my opinion, because precious metals are the ultimate money because you don't need the internet. Period.
Yeah. Wow, Bo, there's a lot in there. I just, as you were talking, a couple things jumped out to me when we talk about we're on the edge of seeing something happen, and I read the comments from people, and I know there's a lot of people that think things are happening too slow, or sometimes they say nothing is happening. Well, if you just think back over the last 1 year, I think 1 year, what's happened? Roe versus Wade was overturned. 50 years of bad Supreme Court law gone. Never thought that would ever happen in our lifetime. A lot of people forgot about this. Remember the Georgia Guidestones? I remember when we first started covering those on my website, people had never heard of them. And we started breaking that story open so that people knew what they were. And then poof, those things were demolished. We still don't know how or why. Those things came tumbling down in an instant overnight. Then you've got all of a sudden social media, Twitter, one of the worst offenders for free speech, all of a sudden bought by Elon Musk. And now you can post whatever you want on there. You can actually speak and have free speech. All three of those things, no one thought would happen in our lifetimes. And they all happened in this last year. So
let's go back even further, right? Let's go to some other even bigger events. The seals of Revelation, right? Coronavirus. That was the opening of the first seal. So to tell me things are not happening, are you kidding me? Look what happened in 2020. The corona came across the world. Okay. So
change the world.
Across the world you knew changed in January of 2020. The world you knew changed.
Yes.
Only to find out 6 months later, on May 31st, you got peace taken from the earth with the George Floyd riots.
Mm.
And then there was riots all over the world. And now you got the Ukraine thing going on, wars and rumors of wars. So peace was taken from the earth. So to say nothing's happened, incredible things have happened. The only issue is that we're waiting for what? Well, you got number one, first seal, second seal. We're waiting for the third seal event. Well, this third seal event is the financial rebalancing, the greatest financial event in human history. And it's coupled directly with the manifestation of God's glory, the destruction of Babylon. So every seal that opens is a huge deal. Huge deal. Okay. And it's a worldwide deal. It's a worldwide event when a seal opens. So this third seal is going to be worldwide financial calamity. China, don't be surprised if it collapses. Okay. And because why? China represents Pharaoh. And so China is going to lose its power forever like Pharaoh did, like Egypt. When this third seal manifests, it's a worldwide event. So worldwide financial rebalancing. So worldwide gold and silver become money. Worldwide financial, bank runs, worldwide bank collapsing, worldwide real estate collapse, worldwide bond crash. Okay, it's worldwide. That's what a seal is. It's worldwide.
Mm.
If you can click on page 29, just to give you a rundown of time and why it's so important to understand this, because this is
I'm so excited about this, Bo. I've been waiting the whole time for this slide. So yeah, go ahead. This is, everybody pay attention. This is where it gets really good.
So this is about 50 to 100 hours of time I put into this slide just because all the details, I kept getting more and more downloads and I kept adding to it, only to find out that it keeps adding up and the pieces keep coming together with scripture and prophecy. So all I can tell you is that we're at this incredible moment in time. And so the cycle pattern describes, we've heard the saying we're in the 1-2-4 timeline, but no one ever explained what that means. Like seriously, no one knows what that means. And so this past week, I got the revelation of what that means. And it specifically means years. Okay, I'm going to repeat that. The timeline is reference to years. So the beginning of the end started with Trump being in office, his last year in office, and that was the beginning of the end, the beginning of end times. So this is the end times prophecy of the president. So Trump held office. He held office for the year 2020. At the end, we had the jackal come in, and I say the jackal because that was Robin Bullock. That's what he called him. That's what God calls him. And so he comes in for a 2-year term. Well, he came in on January 6th. And so it's interesting that the Brunson case is January 6th, this Friday. So I don't know. I'm just saying the piece is, it's interesting. Let's leave it at that. Whether it's January, February, whatever. All I'm saying is the next cycle is a 4-year term for 45. So he walks back into office. Well, how would he do it? Well, we said, what does the Brunson case include? Fraud vitiates everything it touches. So it's interesting how this is lining up. There's also a prophecy. It's right. It says the U.S. Congress, there's a black horse, and right underneath it, the U.S. Congress and the prophecy link. There's a prophecy of a prophet that actually stated that there's going to be hundreds of empty seats in Congress.
Yes, we covered this. It's incredible. It's from 2021.
Fascinating how it ties in. That would correlate with fraud vitiates everything. 385 members of Congress are poof gone, right? And so now people start we the people start occupying the seats.
The way it was always meant to be.
Bingo. Okay. That'll be the 4-year term for 45. And now we'll fulfill the prophecies of he gets 2 terms. Everybody, there wasn't one prophet that stated it'd be consecutive. We just all assumed it was going to be consecutive, only to find out God had a bigger plan. And remember, it's always in God's time, not our time, right? And so God changes the clock, and he's stuck in a 2-year term in there for the jackal. Why? So that we could see what? Evil. You just got to see what was going on in Hitler's timeline. We just got to see what evil's agenda is.
That's right.
At the same time, those 2 years gave the evil one working for the jackal and working for the evil, and working for evil. They had the ability to turn from the wicked ways. Oh, you wayward sheep, turn from your wicked ways. Repent. Okay. But most chose not to. There's a couple that did. Okay. Most chose not to. And they've dug in their heels like Pharaoh. And so now we've come to the end of the 2 cycle. So at any moment now, whether it's this Friday the 6th, whether it's next week, whether it's, I'm just telling you, something huge is potentially going to go down in the first quarter here, possibly, and high probability this month. Okay. So again, it's a secret, not my secret, it's God's secret. The actual event or events and the exact day this thing goes down is a secret. But we're waiting for the manifestation of his glory. When the glory manifests, we're going to see the Jubilee. We're going to see the Jubilee, the year of the Lord's favor. And everything we know, everything starts to changes so fast you can't even imagine. Because when God's involved, within 24 hours, everything can change.
That's
Look
incredible.
what happened to Pharaoh.
Yes, right.
So that's what's going to be a worldwide shift. Trump's going to come back in. 45 comes back in to take a 4-year term, which would take us all the way to the end of 26. And this is the 7 years of plenty we're in right now. You don't believe me? Go to the grocery store. Everything you need is there. Okay. Which ultimately then leads into the 4th seal later on. And then that starts the 7 years of famine. It's interesting, I didn't bring up, but actually Prophet Joseph ties in with this, because Joseph, if you read Genesis 41, you'll come to realize that Joseph was in jail for 2 years, only to come out of jail to be put in second in command of all of Babylon, a Jew.
That's right.
Only to answer to one, the king, Pharaoh. Okay. In this scenario, if Trump returns, if he replays the cycle of Joseph, understand that he literally will be put in control, of the United States, the most powerful nation in the world, only to answer to who? The king, God.
I love that.
You gotta love how this is coming together. All we're waiting for is, for the glory to manifest. I'm laying out some cycle timelines and patterns here. Please don't anybody tell me that, when these celebrations happen and we're going to get immense financial blessings and the whole world is celebrating. And yes, we're supposed to celebrate for a period and then get to work. Okay. Do not be deceived and have some people come out and tell you that now we're in the 1,000-year millennial reign. It's a complete lie. And anybody who's telling you that, that's from the pits of hell. It's a lie. Satan's trying to deceive, because remember, read how many horsemen are there? 4 in the apocalypse. We've only gotten to the 3rd one when this event goes down.
Mm-hmm.
So what's about to happen in a nutshell? God puts everything on hold. I'm going to repeat, he puts everything on hold. Evil gets destroyed. They flee. They go into hiding. Okay. Whoever's left goes into hiding. Everything gets stopped.
So God's going to
give his bride the opportunity to be blessed, have immense financial blessings, and then allow them to start to separate themselves from the world, because that is absolutely critical. And actually, it's going to fulfill the prophecy of David Wilkerson of 1971. If you go to page 32.
Well, Bo, before I leave this one, what's this area right here, 2027 to 2030? Is that
okay,
you got a maybe a third term, or what is that?
So basically, there's the prophecy of Kim Clement, another Trump. So we don't know who it's going to be, right? So we know which is it Junior? Is it Eric? We don't know. Is it the daughter, right? So no one knows. All I'm saying is that there's a prophecy of a third Trump, and it makes sense because you got the Brunson brothers playing the trumpet. Trump comes back, takes another turn, fulfills the second term, right? Then it only makes sense that you're going to have a third Trump. It could be Donald. We don't know, right? But there's supposed to be another Trump to fulfill. So you'll have a 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
So it's potential we'll have another Trump come back into office, and that will then lead us into the Agenda 2030, which I believe in my heart now, through Revelation and studying here, if you stay on page 29, that takes us into Agenda 2030, which is the mark of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
So the mark of the beast system, I believe, it goes live in the year 2030, and that's important because if you haven't prepared financially, if you don't have gold and silver, right, cryptocurrencies you don't want to be touching then, because that's going to be, you're going to need the mark to log into the internet. If you don't have gold or silver, how are you going to be getting food? Because it says in there, without the mark, you can't buy or sell.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the bride is critical. The bride's going to ultimately separate itself from the world. Incredible things are heading as we head into the year 2030. And then that takes us into another 2-year term. All I'm saying is that it would make sense right now that we have at least into 2030, another Trump that would very likely take office. And then God's going to give us time to prepare right now for what's coming, because God loves his creation and he's not going to have his bride be a part. We're not going to be a part of any of that beast system. And that takes us to the prophecy of David Wilkerson, right? And so thousands will attempt to flee the cities into rural areas. Okay, so why would he have stated that? Okay, well, that prophecy will be fulfilled because basically the bride is going to have immense financial means and blessings, right? So the bride will be leaving the cities to get out, because if there's going to be evil anywhere, where is it going to be? In the cities.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so people just are going to want to get away from the crazy that's going on in the world. The links are there. You can check on them. Beyond that, we're heading into end times. We have not, next page is 33. We have not seen the building of the third temple. We are going to see the construction of the third temple in this decade. I believe my best guess would be in the year 27, it would start. So we shall see. I don't know, but that would be my best guess. And we just wait and watch. But right now, the great place to end this conversation would be, we are, aside from talking to cryptos, but ultimately is you got to be prepared. God's going to break the financial system. If you prepared financially, but with having gold, silver, and cryptocurrencies, we are about to step into and witness in our lifetime the greatest financial event in human history. So my question to you is, do you want to be a part of it? Because God can't bless you. Like, he can't multiply something if there is nothing to multiply. Like, God took 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish and he multiplied them. But if you don't have anything to multiply, there's nothing to multiply. You have to be in a position where God can multiply for you. He's a loving God, but you have to have been prepared for him to multiply something for you. I hope that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand, you got to have something to multiply. And so, cryptocurrencies are going to multiply. Gold and silver is going to multiply. The financial system is going to break. And the dollars, they built it all with the dollar is going to break. The dollar system that we talked about, this Antichrist system, in the Agenda 2030. The paper in your wallet will be gone by the end of this decade. There will be no more paper money. Nothing. It'll be all digital. The money system, will be gone by the end of this decade. The US dollar will be gone by the end of this decade. I'm just telling you, God does nothing before first speaking through his prophets. And there's numerous prophets you put on your site, Noah, that have vouched and stated the same thing about a wealth transfer that's coming. Robin Bullock, Ken Christmas, Julie Green, the list goes on and on. They've spoken about a great wealth transfer that's coming. Mm-hmm. And so have you prepared? The other part is, the Jubilee. So that's the freedom from bondage. So that's equivalent to Israel being freed from Pharaoh and the chains breaking, basically getting away from Pharaoh. Okay. So that's the breaking of the banks and the bond system. That's going to cause huge collapse in the real estate market. Okay. So all of this changes, but financial destruction, collapse of the economy is different than financial blessings. So I hope that makes sense. And, and again, I don't want to give any financial advice more than telling you what I see happening into the future. And then people need to pray on it. Is it resonating with their heart? Does it feel right what we're saying? If it does, you need to ask yourself a question, do you own precious metals? Do you have cryptocurrencies? Cryptocurrencies, the ones at least that I like in my reports, I believe are going to in the near term here, are going to outperform by a huge margin precious metals. So as great as precious metals are going to go, I believe cryptocurrencies are going to go faster and harder. And one of the main reasons is you're not going to be able to get precious metals. So it's going to just be hard to get them, period. Their prices are going to go up quickly, but cryptocurrencies are just going to go up even faster because they're digital, so people will be able to buy them, with their computers, and their prices are going to rise faster than we've ever seen before. And so, in my most recent report, those are people that are interested. At the end of year report, I basically covered I think a dozen cryptos, and I literally laid out the pattern into this year 2023. When the next major high is, because the one's coming, and also into years forward when the next high is coming, with price projections on all the coins years forward. So it's really exciting in my heart because I know this is what's coming. So it was a really exciting thing to give that to my subscribers, and I hope they really all enjoyed that. The cycle that predicted the FTX crash has another very important point this month. And so there's a very big date coming up potentially this month in January, as important as the FTX crash was on November 8th.
Yeah, that's great. And I love the way you said that, Bo, that, you're not trying to convince anybody or sell anybody on anything about cryptocurrency. If you feel like this is something you want to learn about, if you feel like you want to get on the boat, Bo provides this service, and he tells you what he's following and tells you when he's buying and selling. And again, it's the cycles, it's the time cycles, it's the cycles of how these coins move. So I love that. Bo, if you don't want to buy Bitcoin, you should not buy Bitcoin. And Bo will tell you that. But if you're one of those people that is into it, or you want to be into it, Bo has some great stuff. And we do have to be respectful to his current subscribers, so we can't give away too much here on the free interview here. But we just thank you for your time, Bo, for coming on here and sharing as much as you do. But if you want that stuff, and Bo, that is my favorite post that you do every year in your newsletter, when you do the price targets for the coming year and even beyond that. And this one was really good. There's, like Bo said, there's about 12 coins, 12, 13, 14 coins in there that he covers. And I'll tell you what, some of the targets will really raise some eyebrows. If you want to get that, let me scroll down here to slide 38. Bo is always not only generous with his time to come on this show and talk with us. We've been talking for over an hour, but he's going to give you a code here that can get you 50% off. If you get instant access to his entire newsletter with all the past issues. So you haven't missed anything. If you want to see that report with his price targets for the coins that you see on the screen here and some other ones, you can go sign up. What you're going to do is go to gold2020forecast.com, and then there's a sign up button. And when you do that, there's a code where it says, do you have a promo code? Do you have a code to put in? You type in WLT49 and it's going to cut it in half there, give you a 50% off. So you can get in there, you can try it. And that's if you want to. If you don't want to, I love how Bo just says, then don't buy it. It's not for you. So Love that. And if you're one of the people that you really would like to get started, but you're a little intimidated by even figuring out where to start, maybe you've never bought a single coin of any kind, cryptocurrency of any kind, you don't know how to buy Bitcoin, where to store it. And by the way, Bitcoin is great, and Bo talks a lot about Bitcoin, but he's got some other ones that he thinks are going to move much bigger percentage-wise than Bitcoin. So if you think you missed the boat and you couldn't possibly buy a Bitcoin at $16,000, you are very wrong. There's a lot of other stuff out there. If you want to learn how to do this and how to do it safe, by the way, I always say this, there are a lot of pitfalls out there, all sorts of stuff that can trip you up, or you can just make mistakes. If you want to learn how to do it right and do it safe, Bo put together, I was asking him for a long time. I said, Bo, your newsletter is great, but there's a lot of people that aren't even at that level. You need to give them some sort of a school. And so he created the Easy Crypto School, and you can do the same thing there. If you want to do that, it's really easy. It's just easycryptoschool.com, and you do the same thing. He's giving you the same code. These are only good for a limited time here, so you want to grab it while they work. I always get emails from people who wait too long and they say the code no longer works. And I said, sorry, you missed it. But so get in there, use the code WLT49. You'll get 50% off of that school as well, if that's you. If you already know how to trade, you don't need that. I don't say this as much as I should, but you put a lot of work into that. And I love getting it. Anytime I get an email alert, anytime there's a new post from Bo, you get an email alert. And it's usually every couple days, every 2, 3 days, 4 days. And whenever I get that email alert, I drop what I'm doing and I read it because I love reading those. So thanks for what you do there, Bo. It's a great service.
Yeah, I'll just say this last report we did, end of year report, I think was really exciting. The third seal of Revelation is specifically, it's the black horse. We talked about the angel of death, which is going to stop these people who've been running the world. But then the financial scales tipping that really specifically relates to the collapse of the US dollar. We've never seen this event happen in our lifetime. The US dollar has never collapsed. So when the dollar that we know loses its status as the world reserve currency, and again, this is going to be because of what's happening with the BRICS nations, okay? It's a prophetic thing that's about to happen. The collapse of the US dollar directly related to the BRICS nations. These nations are going to come together as one to take down the US dollar. It'll lose the status of the world reserve currency. And if you want to talk about, a breakaway, a vertical move for precious metals, for cryptocurrencies, it's going to be, the only word I can use is biblical. That's the move that's coming. It's going to be biblical. All I know in my heart, I did the right thing, and I informed, those who wanted to listen of what's coming.
Yeah, you do. And your conscience is clean, because 2-3 years now you've been coming on the show and telling people, and boy, how many have you gotten right? I mean, talk about, you were the only person saying Roe v. Wade would be overturned, and then it was. Even I wasn't sure about that one, and you nailed it.
And so it's going to be biblical what goes down here. Don't be surprised if it looks like the United States is finished. It has to look ugly only for the glory to manifest, and everything suddenly changes. So however this plays out, I'm telling you, we're extremely close. Those who are in a position with cryptocurrencies are going to be blessed into the future. Those who are in a position with precious metals, the ultimate money, Haggai 2, verse 8, the silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. So those that hold precious metals are, extremely well positioned, and they've got insurance policy for what's about to go down in this world. And there isn't anything more except God's got this. He's in control. But before the glory manifests, or as the glory manifests, expect incredibly crazy things, maybe ugly things to go down. And then suddenly everything changes. So I'm telling you, close is all we can say. I've shown you the pattern. We're supposed to have reinstatement of the rightful president this year. And I say, I don't mean like December, I mean like soon. So something big's supposed to happen here soon. That's all I can say. And we just have to wait, watch, and pray, and when this event does happen, the first thing you do, you go to your knees and you say, thank you, God, for saving America. And when he saves America, then every other nation will then start to collapse and fall. It is the truth because God has saved America. We have a covenant with God. He's going to hold his covenant that the founding fathers made with him. And so we are a covenant nation like Israel is. Netanyahu's back in office. Next comes 45 as the glory manifests. So historic days are here. God bless everybody. Thank you, Noah, for having me.
That's a perfect way to end it. Thanks, Bo. We'll see you next time.